Friends, welcome back to episode 4 of our Let's Build concept for For Speed Arena 2017, where I play the role of developer and basically put together my blueprint, my idea, my vision for how I would propose the next installment of the game to be. Now, those of you who have been watching the series so far, thank you for your support, and we've covered quite a lot so far. In the last episode, I put out my proposed car list. We've also looked at the concept I put together in terms of a replayable story in episode 1, and sandwiched in between those two episodes, we spoke about my proposal for a multiplayer system which would increase competition. Links to all those videos will be in the description box. So, without further ado, let's waste no more time and let's discuss the topic of today's discussion. Right, so you heard me whining about it in the last video. Make no mistake about it, the map is the episode I have had the most trouble with. I had so many arguments in my head. Real life or fiction? How big should it be? North America, Europe or Asia? After plenty of thought, I realised it would be impossible for me to propose an idea that every single person will like. That's just one of the difficulties of doing YouTube, I guess. But hopefully there will be enough of you who do like this concept and understand why I have gone with it. So, I had a quick look at some of the previous games in this series and found that majority of the maps are fictional and based on parts of America. It seems somewhat of a reused formula. It's tried, it's tested, it's safe. But isn't it a little bit, well, outdated? As I mentioned, I'm a YouTuber, a very small YouTuber, but my job is to create content. I'd like to think that this Let's Build project is something new, different and refreshing for you, the viewer, to enjoy. If I really was a games developer, I think I have a duty to design my product to those very same values, or how else would we elevate and move forward? I'll tell you what, try eating a freshly baked piece of bread. Done? Does it taste good? Cool. Okay, now go leave the rest of it on the table. Now, 3 days later, go back and take a bite from that same slice. Oh, it tastes weird? Bland? Dry? I think stale is the term you're looking for. I think you get the picture. So what I've done is I've chosen a city that prides itself on constant renewal and reinvention. It never gets old, and for those reasons makes it a great choice. Not to mention it's one of the most famous, beautiful and car crazy cities in the world. Welcome to Tokyo. With a population of 12.7 million, it plays host to some of the world's biggest car manufacturers, some of the best driving roads, and of course, the spiritual home of drifting. And all that is before you add the fact that it is also the catalyst for one of the biggest illegal underground street racing scenes on the planet. Night after night, you wouldn't have to stray very far to find cars and their owners gathering together at a car meet. Loud music, colourful raps and engines revving. When it comes to putting that power down onto the road, downtown Tokyo has a beautiful mix of wide streets for cars to battle for position, sometimes 3 or even 4 abreast. And on the flip side, it also has some extremely hazardous sharp turns leading into narrow roads to really push your bravery, response times and car control to the limit. In my mind, the map would be closely similar to the real Tokyo itself, but where needed there would be some modifications and extra roads put into place to create more event types around downtown Tokyo City. But they would all be in keeping with how the real life counterpart looks stylistically. So you can expect to see some epic circuit races with closed off sections of road, meaning no traffic, just you and your competitors. You could also have point-to-point races with full traffic for the added challenge, everyone weaving in and out of AI-controlled cars with some cunning shortcuts hidden along the route. There will also be frantic cop chases with plenty of little alleyways to hide in the shadows while you wait for your wanted level to cool down. So, now we know that my chosen city is Tokyo, let's start talking about some of the things I'll be implementing into my map for the finished game, if I was a developer, of course. Starting off with something that I feel is arguably one of the most important elements to add to any open world racing map: an airport. Tokyo International Airport, commonly known as Haneda Airport, is one of two primary airports that serve the Greater Tokyo area and is the primary base of Japan's two major domestic airlines. Haneda handled 75 million passengers in 2015, and since its expansion now has the capacity to handle over 90 million. That's a bloody big airport. And because it's an airport, that's a big reason why it will be on my map. Look, if we can't agree on everything, I think we can all agree that the next Need for Speed is crying out for a true, proper, open world airfield. Just imagine, it will be a great area to do some booning, meet and cruising, as well as some awesome drag races with a full lobby of players, clear runways with no pedestrian cars to ruin the race, and a great opportunity to create some beautiful montages and stance videos. Moving on, the second element I would like to implement into my finished map would be a big cargo area or an industrial zone, or maybe even both. Basically a drifter's delight. I feel this is equally as important as the airport. See, Need for Speed has got a huge drifting community, and what better way to challenge yourself other than to see how close you can get that front end of your car to a huge steel storage unit without crashing and leaving your insurance company with a huge fee to cough up. It will be a great place to incorporate some tricky and challenging gymkhana sections, as well as utilising the large objects to hide from the cops during a chase. I think we could have a lot of fun. Multi-floor car parks. Now, this is an idea that I'm really excited about, as it actually came into my head whilst I was walking through the car park where I work. In Tokyo Drift, there are a series of races that Sean takes part in, where he races the other drifters on a section that involves going round the spiral incline of a multi-story car park, or multi-story if you're American or Australian. It doesn't matter, because it's incredibly tricky and takes a large degree of skill, and most importantly, it adds to that tasteful flavour of variety. I would actually implement two multi-story car parks into our map, and for two reasons. Reason number one, they would both have their own unique events set up in place. The first building would have an event called Multi-Story Drift, where the objective is to either drift up or down the spiral, gathering as many points as possible, with the winner being the driver with the highest score, with bonus points awarded for wall taps and risk taking. The second building, probably located on the other side of the map, would have an event called Multi-Story Time Attack, which quite simply is a race against the clock to see who can get either up or down the spiral section in the quickest time, with a +2 penalty added for each time you make contact with the walls. Reason number two, it would actually be another car meet section, but with a different vibe. The echoes and reverb created from the indoor nature of the car park would actually amplify the noise your engine makes whilst it's revving. Likewise, the screeching from the burnouts would be louder, and tyre smoke would be even more apparent, as it wouldn't simply fly off into the sky, all of which would create a great petrol or gas-headed atmosphere. Now, we all know Need for Speed by trade is an arcade game, or some might even call it a simcade. I'd rather stick to arcade. But nevertheless, just because it is an arcade racer, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be treated to a racetrack, a proper racetrack. Motegi Racetrack is a motorsport racetrack located at Motegi in Japan. Its name comes from the facility having two racetracks, a 2.4 kilometer oval and a 4.8 kilometer road course. It was actually built in 1997 by Honda as a part of the company's effort to bring the IndyCar series to Japan, helping to increase their knowledge of American open wheel racing as well. Now, strictly speaking, this track is not based in Tokyo, but crucially it is still within Japan, so for that reason I will create a space for it on our map. So, Looking closer at the two tracks that make up the course, firstly we have the oval. The oval course is the only one of its kind in Japan and currently is only used once a year for racing. The Motegi Oval gained additional publicity when Danica Patrick became the first woman to win an IndyCar race, beating Helio Castroneves for her first and only IndyCar victory, thus proving there is absolutely no shame in losing to a woman. There actually is. Make no mistake about it, there really is. Moving on, the road course. The road course is 4.8 kilometers long and is unique in sharing garage and grandstand facilities with the oval course. Now, because they are two separate tracks fused together, it's actually possible for races to occur simultaneously on the two courses, effectively meaning you could have two groups at the circuit at the same time running two separate races without crashing into one another. Whether it's a high-speed run on the oval to try and max your top speed, or a track day run to experiment with different tuning setups, or even just a non-officiated race with others in the lobby. Regardless of what you turn up there for, the Motegi racetrack will certainly be the place to be for all of the above. Perhaps the greatest thing about Tokyo is that the city is overlooked by something iconic: Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji is an active volcano about 100 kilometers southwest of Tokyo, commonly called Fuji-san. It's the country's tallest peak at 3,776 meters. A pilgrimage site for centuries, it's considered one of Japan's 3 sacred mountains, and summit hikes remain a popular activity. I feel the implementation of Mount Fuji would be a great way to facilitate and bring back some head-to-head canyon showdowns, possibly for pink slips, as well as various drift and doge, or duduk, or dudge, or whatever you pronounce it, however you pronounce it, I don't know. But anyway, the real Mount Fuji, to my knowledge, doesn't have any actual roads, but my in-game version would look something like this. This is a picture of Castelvio, one of the greatest driving roads in the world. I will design a road of similar characteristics and have it woven into the mountains. This should also give great opportunity for those of you who are good at making showcase videos, as aerial shots of cars drifting and battling around each corner should look absolutely stunning. The temperature is very low at high altitude and the cone is covered by snow for several months of the year. The lowest recorded temperature is actually -38 degrees. For this reason, Mount Fuji will most likely be a great venue if you want to catch some snow-based racing as well. Right, so we now know our Tokyo map will have a vibrant downtown section. We also know it will have a mountain section. How about some forest? Aokigahara, or Sea of Trees, is a 35 square kilometer forest that is located at the northwest base of Mount Fuji. The forest contains a large number of rocky ice caverns, a few of which are popular tourist destinations. Aokigahara Forest is very dense, shutting out all but the natural sounds of the forest itself. So whether it's a V8, a straight 6 or an inline 4, the engine and personality of your car will come fully to life whilst you upshift through the gears during forest races. The implementation of Aokigahara into the map will add a certain vibrancy to the game. If you look at Forza Horizon 3 and The Crew, both games have deployed the use of forests, albeit in different ways, and their maps are better for it. You see, The Crew focuses solely on dirt runs, where you use a specifically tuned car to power slide and drift your way around mud-based tracks. Forza has more of a blend, with some road races that run through the forest itself, as well as elevation changing terrain races, seeing you scurry across mud tracks, splashing through ponds and lakes, and powering through leaves, sticks and foliage. I feel it's really important that there's a different feel to each area of the map through aesthetics, climate and physics, so my forest design will probably take elements from both examples, There will certainly be some all mud based races, but alongside this I'll also have some road tracks going through the forest with the occasional surprise to keep things entertaining. Okay, so keeping things moving, let's talk about the next element, an arena. Now at the moment we are still no closer to knowing if Ghost and EA are going to go ahead with the arena title, as there has been no further news on that front. But on the chance that they do choose to roll with it, as I mentioned in episode 2, I will have an actual arena built into the centre of the map. It will be traditional, circular and open top, but with a retractable roof which will close to keep the arena track dry during competition. You'll be able to fast travel to it from anywhere on the map and meet up with other drivers from around the world. The arena will be the basis for freestyle events and gymkhana runs, alongside showcases as well as stance shows. If you like showing off, well then go show off. Now, in case you didn't know, Tokyo is the capital of Japan, which bears the nickname the Land of the Rising Sun, which leads me nicely into what I would consider as one of the most important parts of my map. A fully fledged day and night cycle. Now, I didn't mention this in my suggested improvements video, and perhaps in hindsight I should have, but for me, one of the most annoying features of Need for Speed 2015 was the whole game being set at night, with only the most minimal amounts of early morning light rays coming through. Look, Ghost. Visually, your car models in 2015 looked brilliant, they really did, and with the added creativity of the custom wraps that we could have and design, there were some truly outstanding looking whips in those garages. The issue was, when leaving the garage and driving into the Ventura map, all of a sudden those vibrant colours and artistic designs turned pretty much into, well, silhouettes, shadows. All the hours, all the concentration, time and effort put into those design choices ended up being in vain. The whole point of customizing your car is to, as I mentioned, show it off. How do you show off in darkness? How do you have a car meet where nobody can see each other's cars? I really hated it. Furthermore, I feel like we couldn't fully appreciate the true beauty of Ventura, as it was always nighttime. Now listen, I've yet to visit America or Asia thus far, but when I do leave my hotel room upon vacation in those countries, I will be doing so during the daytime. Would you like to know why? Because I want to see the sights and appreciate the beauty of my surroundings. So for those reasons mentioned above, there will be a fully fledged day and night cycle implemented into my Tokyo map. Dynamic weather. Tokyo is a city well known for having drastic variances in its weather, ranging from hot summers to heavy winds and torrential downpourings of rain. This will be implemented into the environment of my map. The idea of never-ending rain is something that doesn't appeal to me, nor could I work out why Ghost deemed it to be a good idea. It truly baffled me. Not only will my Tokyo map have different varieties of weather, but this will actually be dynamically changing. What that basically means is you may start an event at 2 PM in the afternoon with the sun shining brightly, and by lap 2 the heavens may open with thunder and lightning. Likewise, you may begin a drag race at 1 AM in the morning/night and find the quarter-mile drag strip to be covered in fog, which will eventually clear up. I feel this would bring a certain level of unpredictability to each event and require you to focus more on your tuning setups. So, those are all the major elements that I would have in my map. But what I want to do now is just tie up a few loose ends and just chuck a few other ideas around. Elevation changes. There's nothing like putting that freshly upgraded suspension to the test, right? The map will have banked curves scattered all around, as well as downhill and uphill sections, jumps and computer controlled bridges that lift at random. The map will also have parking lots, beaches, gas stations, malls and other attractions, as well as multiple garages for you to park your car so you won't have to keep driving all the way back to that one garage on the map. That was quite annoying. The map will be fully open world, none of that invisible wall type madness. There will also be free roam lobbies which will go from 8 up to 32 human players as an option. Basically, with all that in mind, what you're probably looking at is a ratio of 40% city, 30% forestation and rural, and 30% mountainous roads. I'll also make sure that there is a long straight section in each area of the map. I know how important it is for you guys to try and max your cars out and see how fast they can go. So whether it be a long road or a long straight bridge, the Fuji mountains, the Aokigahara forest, and downtown Tokyo will all have at least one long straight section to push your car to its very limits. Last but not least, there will be a parts shop in all 3 areas. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on this because I'm saving this for my next episode, but those parts shops, I'm pretty certain, will be visited by a lot of you guys quite regularly. And there you have it, my proposed map for Need for Speed Arena 2017. Now, I'd like to apologise again for the different variances that you may have heard in the audio throughout this video. I've had terrible mic problems as well as the lead which feeds into it becoming faulty, so I had to use a replacement one. Then, once that issue was addressed, the USB ports on my Mac decided to die for 5 days and then just miraculously come back to life again. All of which caused this video to drop 1 week later than planned, so my apologies once again. Now, as I mentioned, there will be another episode. Episode 5 is on the way. I actually left a clue as to what it will be about in this video, and you'll be pleased to know that work on it is already underway. Now, let me know what you think of the ideas I've put out for this map proposal, as well as suggestions for what we can add to it, or maybe even an entirely different location altogether. Episodes 1 to 3 are in the description box, and hot links to my full Need for Speed Arena 2017 discussion playlist will appear on your mobile, tablet or laptop screen as hot links at the end of this video. If it's your first time around here, I wish you a warm welcome. Show your support for this series and concept in general by hitting the like button. If we can get to 100 likes on here, that will be great. And equally, please be sure to subscribe to get notified as soon as I release episode 5. In the meantime, I will see you in the next video. And remember, if you're not driving dangerously, you're not driving fast enough. Peace.